Welcome to Innovative Mondays, a new series here live on futurereadyeducators.com. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching the recording, this is a new series that we're going live with, and it's just me and Eric and our team. And we're testing out this new community that we're excited to be launching and starting different series to help you think about being future ready educators, which to us means embracing new technology, being collaborative with other folks in education, and having a student-centered approach. And we believe in innovation, collaborative mindset, and student-centered teaching, which we've been doing for over a decade. And now we're excited to kind of launch this as Future Ready Educators, which is powered by our Strive team and the community that decides to join us. And Innovative Mondays is going to be a place for me to just kind of jam with folks who have different ideas and challenge you to kind of prepare students for the future if you haven't thought about that already. I've got some different notes here, a couple different screens. Welcome to my little home studio, which I put together this weekend. And today's topic is going to be about designing our future, a student-driven problem-solving workshop that I just did. Danielle and I on our team just did with Craig Badura over at Aurora Middle School. It was a ton of fun, and I'm going to take you through the process of developing that and then what we learned actually in the workshop. And it was all student driven. We facilitated, but it wasn't us coming up with the problems that they came up with. It wasn't us coming up with the solutions. It was students, which is what education should be and should look like if we want to prepare them with future ready skills. And so that's what we're going to discuss here today on Innovative Monday. And we'll continue this through the end of the school year, maybe pop in a couple this summer, and hopefully create some conversations for educators to explore innovative ways and practices to embrace new technology in your classroom. And this workshop actually involved no technology and involved sticky notes and Sharpies and a sailboat. And it was a ton of fun to see students come to life. And I'll share a couple things here with you that we learned. And so the main objective was to empower students to develop their own topics to identify a problem. So they came up with it themselves. We said, hey, it could be related to the community, it could be related to something in the school, and brainstorm different solutions for that. And we learned a ton through it. It went really fast, and we did all this in one class period. That was it, 45-minute class period. So it was fast, and it was a ton of fun. And I will go through a kind of a Twitter thread of the process of that and the slides we used. And the reason I'm doing this in this format is I think you guys can do this as educators. If you're watching this, you can do this in your own classroom, or we'd love to help you implement this in your own classroom. And you can do it. We don't have to be there. You can facilitate this conversation, or we could help you, whether in person or virtually. Again, designing our future, a student-driven problem-solving workshop, and really was inspiring to our team to do that. We had several key takeaways that I'll go through. So I'm going to share my screen and share with you guys the slides here that we could share with you as well if you were to do this. So again, we're using our community here, Circle. And so let's make sure. Okay, cool. So Eric, is this grayed out or? Okay, we've grayed out your screen to avoid mirroring. Everyone else can see your screen just fine. Thank you. So again, we're testing some new technology here, but these are the slides. I'm just going to take you through the process of this workshop. So we really queued up, hey, this is the point of what we're trying to do, identifying and discussing some different topics and challenges that maybe you're experiencing. And we queued that up, and we started off with an icebreaker, right? Like all teachers are very experienced in, you've got to loosen up students to get them in this certain mindset of they're going to be kind of controlling where the class period goes, which is unlike a lot of classes where they're receiving information and then they're trying to push it back. They were creating and developing where the class was going to go. And this kind of kicked them off with two truths and a lie, kicked them off into a conversational tone and just getting to know each other, working on some different communication skills. So there's a lot of fun. There was laughter throughout this. You can see in maybe some of the photos, just kind of, again, broke the ice in the classroom. So we went through that really quick. And then I identified the problem. I had sent out a tweet that generated almost 20 or 70 people that responded with the question that I asked is, what's one skill a student should be developing right now that would prepare them for the future of work? And overwhelmingly, communication, verbal and writing. Almost 30% of people said communication was a skill that students should be developing. And so I I wanted to discuss that with them and kind of share with them high level how they could really help develop their communication skills. And the first thing that you need to be practicing, I told them, was to listen, practice active listening. Again, these are very basic skills, but just to have the opportunity to share this with students, I had to I had to go through that. You could use this or you could skip right to the workshop, but I kind of went through the different ways, the nonverbals with communication. I work with a lot of students, have over the last decade, and a lot of them don't make very good eye contact, and you can tell that they're scared or they're not comfortable in that, and so we're really working on trying to develop that eye contact, and that body language conveys confidence and approachability. And then we discussed, how you can continue to work on writing. I shared a little bit of my story of not being a great writer and how I've hacked that throughout my career as an entrepreneur. And then we talked about cultivating empathy and emotional intelligence through communication, and being self-aware for where you're at. If you're in a frustrated tone, frustrated kind of mindset, that's going to come through in the way you communicate. So that was fun, and I kind of breezed through that. And then we jumped right into the workshop. So we introduced this idea of discovering a challenge. And if you go, I'll go over here. Um, you know that was the goal was for them to develop this challenge, and I don't want to go to that. And so they came up with several, you can see here, several different challenges. Those were the yellow sticky notes here. So this was a challenge that was overwhelmingly apparent in the workshop. Was a lot of these, and these were eighth graders, were extremely stressed. They feel like their schedules are packed and they don't have enough time to do some of the things that they want to do. They love activities and things like that, but sometimes there's other things in their life that just aren't allowing them to have some free time with their packed schedules, and so they feel the pressure of that with school, and that was probably one of the key takeaways. So that was one of the challenges that we discussed, and so one of them, they had to create that challenge into how might we, and so one of the statements, I believe, was how might we keep schoolwork at school? And that was the overarching topic that we discussed. And then we had a student draw a sailboat, and we talked about, well, what are the good things about keeping, being able to keep school at school, and what are some of the negative things about having to take schoolwork home, right? So we started off with the positive, then we went to the negative, which is the problems, and they put all the positives above the water, all the negative problems, excuse me, the good things above the water, the bad things, the problems below, around the anchor. And then we focused in, we zoned in on those problems, and we really focused in on one problem. And so you can see here what's working well and what's holding you back. We'll share these slides so you can use these for your class if you want to try this. And then we prioritized those and we voted on the problems. And I did that very quickly. I did not have the students come up and put dot stickers on this. Again, I forgot to mention at the beginning, we used a framework called Lightning Decision Jam, LDJ, that was developed by AJ and Smart, a framework that I found online that I thought that a lot of workplaces use to fast track problem solving. And this is the exact same model, and I wanted to test it in the classroom. And so that's how this idea started. And so I kind of helped pick the problem. It was pretty apparent there was lots of common themes. And so if I were to do this in a larger group, this is about 10 to 12 students. In each class, we did 2 classes. I'm going to do it with a group of fifth graders. It's going to be about 20. I think I'm going to have each of them focus in on the problem that they all chose at their table instead of trying to do it as a group. So I think I had written down 1 to 20 probably could identify one big topic. Any more than 20 students, you're probably going to have each table, groups of 3 to 4, choose their topic and challenge to really zone in on and develop a solution for. So I'm going pretty fast in this too. And then we turn that into a how might we, turn that problem into a how might we statement. And then we began to brainstorm solutions to this. And this was the fun part. They then went up and put those solutions, and that's what we did in the blue here, and put the solutions with the how might we is in the orange sticky note. The blues were the solutions that each individual student, so this was not a group, they sat at tables, but they each individually had to write these solutions. Then they went up, stuck them up there. Then they took their little dots, and voting dots is what we call them, and they voted on the number one solution. And that was a lot of fun in the second class. You can see here, um, this was one of the solutions that a student came up with. So they had developed the how might we statement of how might we keep school work at school and not have to always bring it home. Well, one of the issues is there's a lot of homework in reading, and there's some homework in English. And one of the students, I believe his name was Hudson, he is the one that wrote this solution. He said, well, what if we combined reading and English? What if we took the curriculums and kind of mashed them together? Well, there's an idea, and all the students you can see voted on that, each person, and it was a lot of fun. And so then Craig Badura, who's an awesome educator, who was grateful or nice enough to let us come in and test this idea and not really know where it was going to go. He texted his principal and said, "Hey, got a student question. If you want to pop down to the room." And principal came in. He's like, "What's going on?" And I go, "Well, hopefully I'm not stirring up too much." And the student addressed the problem and introduced the solution to the principal. And the principal's like, "Yeah, I'm actually, that's a great idea, and I'm actually working on that." And so it was really enlightening. He goes, "Unfortunately, it's not going to benefit you as an eighth grader right now, but future classes." And so the students were kind of buzzed up. They came up with a solution that potentially could be implemented. And so that was a lot of fun. And so you can see the magic of the day, and really proud of them for innovating in a very, very short amount of time. Again, this was a really fast sprint for problem solving. We could have probably, Craig mentioned, probably turned this into a 90-minute exercise. Wish we could have probably spent more time on the solution, and we did vote, but evaluating the solutions a little bit more, and then having each maybe table coming up and presenting their solution to, so they would vote on it amongst their table, and then have each table group present their solution to the group, and then do an impact effort scale, right? Is this going to have a lot of impact and going to take a lot of time, or is it not going to take a lot of time? And you would draw this in kind of a framework. If you were to have us help you do this, we could help you with that scale, and get you a model for that. Is it going to take less effort but have high impact, and rank the solutions? How much work is it going to take? How much impact is it going to have? And then receive some constructive feedback and encouragement on these, and wrap up and reflect on the skills that they learned through this, right? Hitting on problem solving, critical thinking, communication. The student that had the combined reading and English had to communicate that problem and solution to his principal, and he did a phenomenal job. He was confident, wasn't scared. And then I asked all the students, to ask themselves this question: did I learn something today? And to share the idea that they had, or the solutions that they came up with, and or what you learned, with someone outside the class, a parent, a relative, a coach, a friend, and say, "Hey, we did this in this class," and have an opportunity to share that with others, and then follow up with the teacher. And I have not done that with Craig, because he's been out, and share how that conversation went with that person. So that's what I challenge them to do, with what they learned, again, in this action-packed 45 minutes. And so that was a lot of fun. And this is the Twitter thread that I put out, and this is kind of the reflections on the day, and the goal. So you can check that out on my Twitter profile. I'm using the reader feature here to eliminate all the noise in Twitter. But can't wait to see what else they're able to do. Again, this was all because Craig allowed us to do that and a space for them to feel comfortable to create. And so we'd love to test this out with your group, your class. We are going to again try this with a fifth grade class tomorrow at Heartland. We understand at the end of the school year, you got a lot of different things going on. There's state testing and a lot of other distractions, elementary field day, track meets, golf meets. So we know this is a very busy time, but we want to plant the seed. We're super excited about the potential of this workshop and how it can help. Again, I'm super convicted and feel like if we don't talk about these things, we're going to keep spinning the wheels. We know what the problem is, right? We believe there is a massive gap between what's happening in schools, and it's none of your fault, right? There's uncontrollables, a massive gap between what is happening in classrooms and what is happening outside of the classrooms in small businesses, what entrepreneurs are creating in startups, corporations, in the business world. There's a gap, and we feel like Strive, future ready educators, this community we're building will help bridge that gap. And this space, we feel like, is a great opportunity for educators to come and talk about solutions, discuss the problems, but not just go, well, I don't know what to do. Like we want to come up with solutions. We want to test them out, and we need you to help us do that. And we're here to encourage you and cheer you on. And this is one of many ideas we're going to be developing through this platform to help you kind of try things and be innovative in your classroom. And that's what Innovative Mondays are all going to be about. And so look forward to continuing the conversation. Hopefully we get some folks to join us, maybe not as school year ends, but maybe this summer we can continue the conversation and we'll bring up different topics on how you can be more innovative in your classroom or share how you have discovered new ways to teach things by using technology or doing approaches like we talked about today. So I'm going to be delivering that. The rest of our team is assigned to different spaces, and they'll be doing live rooms like this to discuss different topics to, again, help you become future ready educators. And as you can tell, I'm super excited. I've got my bubbler, I've got my lights, and appreciative of you guys tuning in. We'll have a recap. I've already got a blog kind of written out on this for a post that'll accompany this video. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Innovative Mondays. Thanks for joining.